Welcome back. My guest is a senior advocate of Nigeria. He joins us from our Abuja studio. Senior advocate Wale Balogun joins us. Thank you, sir, for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
A quick one so that the audience will follow exactly where we want to start off from. And that has to do with some action by the judiciary. About 34 lawyers nominated for appointment as judges of the Federal High Court have failed what they consider the integrity test for appointment as judicial officers in Nigeria. In fact, we understand that 62 applicants were received, but 34 of them will not be screened further because of issues around integrity. In fact, I was reading one of the petitions, which has to do with, I think a CSP or police who was supposed to be, who was part of this list, and the petition has to do with the fact that she collected a bribe also of about ₦1 million to enable someone to be released from police custody and all of that. And then at the end of the day, that petition followed through, I think, with the Police Service Commission, and now maybe our career as far as this is concerned is over. What do you make of this latest development, Senior Advocate?
Well, the situation speaks to it for itself, and it's very loud and clear that the new leadership that we have in the judiciary is not going to be business as usual. This particular position that has been taken with respect to this appointment, it has been a point that has been advocated for many years. You know, just like for the appointment of the Senior Advocate of Nigeria, at a point in the process, the names of applicants will be published for the whole world. To comment about it, people have always advocated that if that could be done, or that can be done for Senior Advocate, why not to the judges too, or judges nominee? So this time around, that position was fully embraced. And you can just see the percentage. Out of 62, 34 dropped. It's actually a situation we've been looking forward to. Because, and you said they face the most important test, the integrity test. That's the most important thing for a judge. A judge whose integrity is in doubt or has an appearance of doubt should not even move near the court, talk less of becoming a judge. So we must all commend this new policy, and we must also commend the new leadership and this new beginning that we are witnessing in the judiciary. If we continue along this path, I have no doubt that we'll be able to purge the judiciary and we'll be able to experience a new lease of life. As they say, is the last hope for not only common man, even for big men. So we want the judiciary we'll all be proud of. A judiciary that is at par with its contemporary world over. So I must say, it's a dawn of a new beginning. And we must commend the leadership of the judiciary for this very bold and courageous step that they have taken. Anybody that is integrity or integrity is in doubt has no business in the judiciary. We must commend the judiciary for this laudable effort.
Yeah, Senior Advocate, it's good that we have seen, and I think I would totally agree with you that this is commendable because the judiciary has been on trial for a very long time. And in fact, sometimes it looks like when you look at the rule of law or jurisprudence across every other part of the law, they seem to be high up there. But when it comes to political litigation, then we begin to see a lot of things that are quite troubling. So on the one hand, threshold for entry, this new policy of publishing names so that public petitions can come in, we've seen a significant drop from 62, taking out 34, which is totally commendable as long as it followed the right process, the first test of integrity. At least I've read one of the petitions to an extent, and I see what happened that the person was dropped. Let's talk about the ones that are already the bad eggs within the system. What policy can be driven to sieve them out of the system? Because those ones, when 10 are doing well and one does anything that maybe it doesn't represent the entirety, it becomes a big one and it rubs off negatively on the judiciary.
Indeed, it's a case of one bad egg. I must say to you, just like we can all acknowledge, the judiciary as it is, even though being in the eyes of the storm recently, they are doing a whole lot of job. And you need to look at the policy. You're talking about the internal reform as it is. There's a very robust policy within the system which will actually enable, in a clear-cut situation where petition is being written, there's a procedure for that. Talk about writing a petition, goes through the NJC. NJC has a very comprehensive procedure in place whereby anybody that is found one day will actually face the music. This leadership too has also demonstrated that recently in an unprecedented manner. It's also in the public domain. How many judges have been suspended without pay? That is unprecedented. That is unprecedented. So I can confirm that the judiciary, under the current leadership, they are doing a whole lot, a robust system. The challenging situation we have, just like you've rightly pointed out, is this issue of politics. Where in the next couple of months now, we'll start 2026, the March to 2027 will be on. And before you know it, the barrage of litigation, internal issues, post-election litigation, they will all come in their hundreds. And they will oftentimes, at such a time, in the next 2 years now, oftentimes they always overstretch our system. You see judges handling the political cases almost in hundreds. And the challenging time is the fact that they all have defined period, unlike normal litigation, that you can go on for as long as the facts of the matter will determine. But here we are talking about maybe a judge has to determine almost 100 or 200 matters within 60 days. Remember, this same judge is still doing other normal civil matter, other normal criminal matter, other normal commercial matter. Then you have matters that are of political orientation. They have to look at them, hear both parties. Why doing that? Why also writing judgments? And at the same time, delivering judgment within 60 days. It's actually an enormous task. So I am of the view that the system we have in place, of course, there's a lot of room for development. But if the politicians or every other Nigerian will follow the path that has been set down there, there's a robust system in place for any judge or any judicial officer that is found one thing after thorough investigation. And all you need to do is only Nigerians who are very, very impatient when it comes to issues like that. They rather go on the pages of newspaper and castigate the system. However, the system has an inbuilt system whereby if you have an issue, if you have a challenge, you can follow it. You write a petition to the NJC. The procedure is in the public domain. You do it by writing a letter. You also support it with affidavit to corroborate your fact. I'm sure you will also acknowledge there are a whole lot of frivolous petitions out there. The moment a lawyer or any litigant goes to court and he comes out and is not satisfied, the next thing is to write a petition. Or if you just perceive the matter is not going your way, you write a petition. So there are a whole lot of petitions that are out there that are actually very frivolous. So the system too is also being encumbered with the good, the bad, the ugly every day. So I tell you, the system is being overstretched, but they are actually working. They are working, and the people that fund the culprits, they are being shown the way out. And I believe they are also busy doing a whole lot to ensure that the system as set in place is working.
All right.
A whole lot of improvement compared to how it was.
All right. Senior Advocate, in 72 hours from now, the new tax law will be implemented. There are 4 of them. 2 are already in operation. The other 2 will start implementation from January the 1st, which is about 72 hours or less from now. That's the Tax Administration and the Tax Act will come into force. But the controversy has embroiled that law. And I was speaking with a lawmaker, and he was trying to walk me through how the process of considering laws all the way to how it is gazetted works. And so trying to find out where was the problem here and how can it be rectified. So when laws are brought from the executive to the House, the Senate will consider it, the House will consider it, both will pass their own version. There will be a conference committee to harmonize both laws. The harmonization will come for, clause by clause consideration. When all of this is annotated on, they'll go to the clerk, which will do another set of annotation to come out with a clean cut and a clean copy. And that is supposed to be considered. I understand they passed a resolution in March to also look at the clean copy again. So it looks like a lot has happened in between. Now the lawmaker stood up and said, look, what we pass as against what is gazetted is totally different from what we pass is totally different from what we pass is different from what was gazetted. But the House now set up a committee, and I hear that a regazetting process is on and all of that are supposed to be considered. But what do you make of all these discrepancies that has been spoken about?
Yeah, it's all in the public domain now. This issue of alleged alteration, there's been denial back and forth. Of course, it's also been said that a committee has been set up to look at it. The fact with respect to the issue of regazetting, the fact with respect to the issue of alteration, whether right or wrong, we certainly have to wait for the committee to be able to confirm what is already in the public domain, whether it's true that indeed there was an alteration with a version that was gazetted different from the one that was passed by both houses. We need to be able to confirm that. You just don't want to join in the speculation because we do not have the fact. Because the relevant bodies too, they are still divided with respect to indeed if there was alteration, which was in conflict with what was passed. Otherwise, the procedure for doing all these things, which they do all the time, is actually well settled and it's not a secret affair. So once they pass through the rudimentary stage of the executive get taken it to the National Assembly, goes through both houses, first reading, second reading, then the harmonized version. It goes through the gazetting and it goes to for the president assent. All these are not done in the secret. So there are tons and tons of paper trail, how they are moving from one state to another. So at what point was it altered? Was it after the harmonization? Was it what was sent to the president for assenting? These are issues that possibly this committee will be able to tell and confirm authoritatively about what actually happened. Was there indeed an alteration? And if there was an alteration, by who? And so that such party or such person can be brought to book, because you are talking about sabotaging the entire national legal framework, legislative framework. So I don't want to be able to jump the gun. We want to wait for the committee to be able to confirm indeed that there was an alteration or there was no alteration.
Mm. You know, it's because it's quite a big issue. I know they raise issues around the garnishing of account, the issue of threshold, the issue of oversight. There are so many issues that were raised. If I had to go and look at some of the provisions that were highlighted, but as you said, let's find out exactly how things play out, because the conversation has to now do what the clerk of the National Assembly had put together as to what was passed to the president and how all of this gazetting process worked. But let me bring you back to the conversation I started with my previous guest, Mr. Shegusha, on the issue of the American airstrike that happened a few days ago. If you look at what has been going on in terms of conversation, and I want you to speak to the legalese of this, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Festus Keyamo, who is the Honorable Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, has said, look, if your house is on fire, it's literally inconsequential for you to be trying to look at the issue of privacy. You need help at that time, and what you need is help. It doesn't matter where the extinguisher is coming from, because now people are raising the issue of sovereignty. But the presidency has said, we are involved in this. Why do you think there is so much doubt as to national control and sovereignty, despite the assurances from the presidency by some people?
Well, we must say that it's not in doubt that there's a trust deficit with this government. So whichever position they have taken, they are going to be doubting Thomases on both sides. And coming to the nitty-gritty of the issue, I must put a disclaimer. I'm not an expert when it comes to international law. However, we can comment on the fact that the government has come out and they have openly said that we are part of this operation. Now, that shouldn't be an issue. The critical issue, just like the Honorable Minister has said, we have a problem, acknowledged problem. Now, this is a problem when it comes to the issue of global terrorism, when it comes to the issue of fighting ISWAP, the Islamic State of West African Province, the El Shabaab of this world. There's actually no issue of sovereignty issue here, because these are terrorists, foreign designated terrorist group. Anywhere on the face of the earth, the issue of sovereignty we actually have to hold on here, because these are people that can be in Nigeria and be carrying out attack in other parts of the world. They can be outside of Nigeria and be carrying out attack in Nigeria. So they have been designated as a foreign terrorist group because the group involved in this latest incident, ISWAP, and I think a faction of Boko Haram too, that emanated from Islamic State. So these are issues that we're looking at here. Of course, even leaving the issue of law or the issue of politics is a question of the fact that we have a big challenge in Nigeria, terrorism. And without any doubt, the government is seriously challenged. We can say that possibly our government is struggling. So if we can get help, we should not hesitate to embrace such help. I'm sure it's also in the public domain, the fact that after the incident, there's been a whole lot of movements of some of all these terrorist groups leaving Sokoto axis, moving to some other axis, possibly moving out of Nigeria. So they know they have to be able to account for what they are doing. And if American government is in position to help us to decimate this terrorist group who has made part of Nigeria their abode, we should welcome it.
Okay.
The issue of sovereignty has been acknowledged by our government. They say we were part of it. We participated. We consented to it. So there's nothing like issue of then overriding our sovereignty.
Senior Advocate Moss, thank you so much. Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Wale Balogun, also a partner at Greenbridge. Greenbridge. I hope I got that correctly.
Greenbridge Partners.
Greenbridge Partners, yes. I wanted to be sure that it's partners. Okay, partner at Greenbridge Partners. Thank you so much, sir, for coming on the program. We appreciate you.
You're welcome.